So good morning. My name is Paula Almiron. I'm together here with Berfu Usman.
Hello, this is Barfun. Nice to meet you all here online.
We are your participants managers, and we wanted to introduce ourselves today and explain you the basics of EIT food so you can start more confidently. Okay. The agenda for today is this one. We're going to start with a welcome, then an introduction to EIT food is going to be quite brief. An explanation of what are EIT food participants. Then we will navigate a little bit more about EIT Food Hive and our special group participants. And then we will go briefly to Plaza, the legal framework, grant cycle, and cost eligibility. Lynn is going to join us later on. Here we have Lynn Banda Populari. So she will explain all the details about EIT Food Hive, and she will also introduce you to some of the key points on comms. We may have later on a webinar on comms only, but just to introduce you briefly to that also. Okay, I'm going to admit some other participants. So let's start. Okay, so EIT Food is the largest community that works on innovation and entrepreneurship in the food systems in the world. We have different types of organizations that are part of our community. We have the food industry, we have universities, research centers, startups. We work in 3 different regions. Here you can see 5, but we have lately merged the Northwest region, the West region, and the Central region in just one region, that is the West one. And then we have the South region and also the Northeast region. These are offices that can provide you with more specific help and support and information and events. But we can talk about that later. And if you have more questions, we can connect you with your leads in those offices. We work in 4 different areas of business, 4 different pillars: education, innovation, entrepreneurship, and public engagement. In the education space, we provide courses for the general public, but also for PhD students, master's students, and we have lately incorporated training courses adapted for the needs of external organizations and also for partners that can be customized to your needs and can upskill the workforce. We also have the innovation area where we have a flagship program that is the Open Innovation Call. This innovation call is, of course, a grant call that is open to all organizations, partners, and participants. We will explain the difference between partners and participants later on, but just to let you know now, you can participate even though you might not have a membership yet. In the entrepreneurship space, we have 3 flagship programs: Seedbed, the Food Accelerator Network, and the Rising Food Stars. We also have corporate venturing services. So if you're interested in this space, please reach out and we will point you to the right person. And finally, we have the public engagement space. This is a very interesting area to connect with our consumers, with our citizens also, and to test some of the concepts that we have developed, for example, in the innovation space. We work in 3 missions. If you have been with us for a while, you might have noticed that there is a difference on the concepts and also in the way that we organize our framework. In the past, we were talking about focus areas, and now we work on missions. So we have 3 missions that are quite comprehensive to what happens in the food systems, and sometimes each of these missions, let's say, have some intersections or they coincide in some points. So the missions are healthy and life through food, net zero food system, and a fully transparent, resilient, and fair food system. So if we go to healthier life through food, we have three major targets: diversify protein sources for food products, improve product choice and supply for a balanced diet to benefit people and planet, optimize nutrient density of food. In the case of net zero food systems targets or missions, we have three targets: establish regenerative agriculture as a commercially viable choice in key value chains, reduce food loss and waste, and finally create a retail food environment which grows value in a circular food economy. In the last one, that's quite complex to read and also to say, because we have rewritten this mission many times now. So it's managing risk for a fair and resilient food system, or reducing risk for a fair and resilient food system. The targets are investing in growth of fair business models to improve food integrity and reduce inequality, empowering producers and consumers to drive sustainable urban and rural food systems, and improving sustainable and resilient food production practices. So if we go now to the concept of participants, I think that the following slide is going to be quite clear. You can also pop up any questions that you may have on our chat, and we will try to answer to all of your questions now. Otherwise, we can do that later on a mail. So our stakeholders for if we put ourselves in the feet of EIT Food, we have two biggest stakeholders: the EIT Food Participants and the EIT Food Partners. So the EIT Food Partners are the ones who have a membership with us. These are the strategic and delivery partners, plus the community members. There's a difference between members and partners, but both pay a fee. And they are subject to some governance rules, some rights and obligations that are particular to them, and they respond to an area that is called partnership. In the other side, we have participants, and participants are all the organizations that receive funding because they are doing activities with EIT Food, so they have funded activities. These organizations can be external organizations, and with this we mean non-partners, and can also be partners. So they are at this intersection that we have in the middle. If you have any questions regarding your activities, your funded activities, or you are a participant and not a partner, you should use us, Berfu and I, as your single contact points. Okay. So let's go to the Hive group, Lynn.
Yes. Is it okay if I share my screen, Paula?
Yes, of course.
Okay, I will try to do that. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, 1 second. I don't know which one it is sharing, so it's been a while since I shared screens via Zoom. Okay, yeah, now I'm sure it's the right one. Okay. I have a couple of slides, but I will also show you the platform in action. Don't worry, the slides won't take too long. So, hello everybody, I'm Lynn. I'm in the communications team at EIT Food, and one of my responsibilities is our community platform, Food Hive. So, first of all, what is Food Hive? Food Hive is the online platform that brings together the entire EIT Food community. So that includes our partners from the leading businesses, research centers, and universities. We also have investors on there, mentors, and then of course our students and promising startups that take part in our programs. So for the moment, it is a private community, meaning that it's only available to stakeholders of EIT Food. And of course, that includes you as participants involved in running the EIT Food funded project. Thanks to the various features, Food Hive is a central location for the collaboration to take place between all of these stakeholders that I just mentioned. But we can also make sure that we collaborate with certain stakeholders on a more targeted level, and you will see why, because we have a special feature that is groups. And one of the things that we've done is we've set up a group for you where you can communicate with other participants from EIT Food as well, of course, with Paula and Berfu and other EIT Food colleagues. So I will show you the features later, but in a nutshell, we have a live feed where you can share updates and read updates from across the EIT Food community. There is also a lot of events that are happening at EIT Food, and we also list some external events that are interesting to the food community. Like I said, we have groups. We also have a career section where you can browse the latest career opportunities if you would ever consider switching job, who knows. We also have a members section where you can find and see the members from the EIT Food network. And then we also have a section that lists all of our partners that Paula mentioned earlier too. So very important for you is that we have set up a exclusive group for you. For all of you that are actively engaged in our EIT Food funded projects, you will get the slides later, so you will have the link. And what I can already mention is that the content and the discussions inside this group are only available to the group members, so you. It won't be available for anybody else on Food Hive because it's a private group. So here are some actions you can take as a new member, but they're also listed on one of the help pages, so don't worry, they will be on the platform. Specifically for you, I would say that definitely explore the participants group. I will also show it to you now, and also download the app because it's very easy to have it on your phone, and then you can check the updates about the group on your phone too. And we've just refreshed the app, so it works really well, and it's available for both Apple and Android devices. And then I would say, welcome to Food Hive. Enjoy sharing your knowledge, learning, and connecting. So right before the meeting yesterday evening, I sent you the invitation email to join the platform. It will be in your mailbox, and you should see a big green button that says log into EIT Food Hive or activate your account, one of the two. So I will show you how that email looks. So this is the email. It will have come from Paula and Berfu from EIT Food and this email address. And then it says invitation to join Food Hive. And there should be a big green button here to log in for the first time if you don't have a Food Hive account yet. But of course, I have a Food Hive account, so it's not included for me. But once you click that button, it will take you to the platform. Let me get this one. And it will ask you some information. You just like as you would sign up to LinkedIn, it asks you some information about yourself that you need to complete. And then once you've completed it, you're in the platform. And the first thing you will see is our live feed that I told you about earlier, where you can read and share some updates. But because we're limited in time, I will skip to the group section. So how can you find the group? Because there's lots of groups on Food Hive. You can see if you're added to the group, it will be under my group. So then you shouldn't have too many groups, so you shouldn't have to scroll all the way there. One more, I think. Yes, so here is the group. If you're not a member of the group yet, but you do have a Food Hive profile, you can look for the group within the sections. It should be under connect with your community. It's participants at EIT Food, and then you click the button here, request to join, and then Paula and Berfu will accept your request to join the group. but you should have all been added to the group as new Food Hive members, so that shouldn't be a problem. So then you click on the group and you will be taken to a new environment that shows some of the same features as on the global level. But like I said, these are only available for the members inside the group, so around 180 people. And you can see all the members of the group in the tab Members. You can also do some filtering if you're interested to know if there's anybody in the same location. Then to the first tab, so the live feed. So this is where you can read updates from Paula and Berfu, and you're very welcome to share updates yourself. Like Helen already posted something there. Thank you very much for breaking the ice, Helen. You can also filter by tags or by categories. So there have been some tags that have been set up already. So if you're interested to read all of the updates about EIT food funding, you click this one. If you would like to know more about the grant cycle or the impact, you click the other ones. I would also encourage you to do the same. So if you write a post, make sure that you tag your post with the right tag so that other members can easily retrieve those messages too, as well as Paula and Berfu that have to answer all of your questions. Then in the events tab, you will be able to find the events that are related to participants. So for example, the webinar was hosted here, and then you can click it and you will see all of the event details. So for example, the link of the Zoom. I have to go back. Then we have a media center, and this is where the documents and video recordings, for example, from this meeting will be stored. But I know that Paula and Berfu also have a YouTube list, so where you can find the recordings, and that is also available through this button. And then the last step is the forum. This is a bit similar to the live feed, but more structured. So Paula asked if you could all introduce your organization. So then you can click this and you can write a comment about who your organization is. And Paula also said, feel free to sprinkle it with a touch of your organization's unique personality. So something you could do just to get started with Food Hive and just get into it, because it's the easiest way to start with the platform. Just post something, comment, and then it's much easier in the future. So that was my little tour of the platform. I don't know if I can stop sharing now. Yeah, I can stop sharing.
Brilliant, Lynn. We have some questions from our participants. The first question is the Food Hive platform open for participants and partners?
Yes, so it is both available for our EIT Food partners as well as all of you that are involved in the EIT Food Funded project. If you send your details to me, like I see that Michalina has requested that to get an email. So if you put them in the chat, I will make sure that you get a profile on the platform. And I will also put a link in the chat where you can request a profile yourself.
Also, we have a question from Helen. Can we highlight our EIT PDC courses on Food Hive that are taking place in the near future? Yes, you can highlight your courses so the other participants can be on the know. And then we have some questions asking for the difference between a participant and a partner. So would you like to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So to try to clarify it, so when you are a partner, you have some certain rights and obligations, and you are becoming a member of the club, let's call it. So you are becoming a member of EIT Food. So based on your membership and based on your partnership type, you will have some, as I said, rights and obligations. But when we say participants, we mean any organization who has joined a TAVA, a project, and will get a funding from us. So both a partner or an external organization who doesn't want to become a partner but still would like to be in a project can be a participant. So that's why there was a subset or like a joint part between the two circles that Paula was kindly showing us, where a partner can be a participant as well, or a partner for this year, let's say, would not like to attend in any project, but still be a partner, pay the membership fee, and get the benefits of being a membership of EIT Food. Please let me know if it's not clear. We can try to give more examples maybe.
And there is another question regarding partnership. How can an organization become a partner?
Yeah, we have our own statutes and bylaws. So those will be shared as well. But if you can reach us directly, we would be happy to guide you through the process, and we will contact to the relevant regions and people who are working on partnership, and then you can start your process. Probably, I am not so sure about their onboarding, but probably they will walk you through your rights and obligations, and then they will explain you the different kinds of partnership types. So you will be able to select one of them depending on your needs. So just let us know, me and Paula, just send us an email and we will guide you through. Thank you.
And we have another question here. Is there a link between Plaza for reporting and Hive? Not really. We are trying to evolve to a new platform that is going to be different from Plaza. When we have that already launched, we will communicate that to you. But Plaza and Hive are different platforms. And if you have any further questions on that, we can have a call, a one-to-one call. We will introduce you also to Plaza today. There's another question on how long after a finished project, how long will a person or an organization will have access to Hive after a project has finished? Lynn.
That's a very good question that I can't answer fully yet. So of course, when your project ends with EIT Food, I don't think we discussed this, Paula, but I don't think it would be beneficial to keep old project participants in the group. For staying on Food Hive, that is another question that I will have to see, but we are looking to open it up to external, so that could then be an option that you are hosted as an external on the platform. So that is something that is to be decided. But we will keep you informed of that option. I actually forgot to show one slide, Paula, that you asked me to touch upon about the branding and communications. Would you still like me to show that one, or?
Okay, so if you want to share the slide, or if you want to explain that directly, whatever works for you, yeah, you can do it.
Right. Yeah. So at EIT Food, we have developed several resources to help you communicate about your project and specifically the outcomes of your project. So we have a communications hub, first of all, and there we have listed lots of articles and information guides, tips and tricks about how you can communicate about the EIT Food funded activities. So for example, how can I share something, a very popular question, how can I make sure that something ends up on our social media channels? You will find the answer there. Then the second one, we have also a set of branding guidelines because we receive funding from the European Union. As you will see, we always have the EIT Food and the EU flag on everything we do. So that's the best example at the bottom of the slide. You will see them. So there are also some requirements, some branding requirements, which covers also the EIT Food funded activity. So I invite you to read the branding guidelines and specifically how to use the EIT Food and the EU flag. And then the last one, we also have a library of content assets. So that includes videos, images, and templates that already have the EIT Food brand. So if you need a picture or we also have lots of interesting infographics. If you want to use that, they are free for you to use, and they are stored in our asset library. This was a very short intro, but of course we can go more in detail into all of these branding guidelines and how to communicate about your EIT Food Funded project. We actually have an article specifically on that in the Comms Hub. And I think we can give a broader comms and branding webinar on that if you would be interested in it. That was all, I promise, this time for real.
We really, it could be brilliant to have a webinar from the comms team because it's so important for your projects to receive the right dissemination, and you need to be completely aligned with our branding and with all the guidelines that well, the communication team could provide. So it could be great. Yeah.
We have one question. If you scroll down, you will see. Yeah. Hello, please. What is the main advantage to be member of this platform? I think you mean Hive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very good question, and I actually have a slide on this that you will receive. I would say, first of all, it's knowing for you about the specific requirements for the EIT Food Funded project, and thanks to the dynamicness of the platform, you can stay updated in real time, because one feature that I didn't show is you can choose how you receive notifications. So one option is to receive an email as soon as Paula and Berfu posted some, or any of the other participants posted something in the group. I would also say it's network, because there are a lot of members on there. We now have more than 5,000 people from the EIT food community in the database. So there is a lot of professionals from the food system on there, and you can network with them, you can connect with them. And then finally, I would say sharing, because all of us have a lot of food innovation knowledge and expertise. And I think the nice thing, I at least like to share my knowledge and expertise on certain topics, and I think all of you like to do that too. So sharing your knowledge, expertise, and also your project updates, I think those would be the three biggest benefits, if you ask me.
And thank you very much, Lynn. It's a good opportunity to network with fellow organizations, as Lynn said, especially if we are thinking about new projects or adding a different type of expertise to a current project. It's a way of finding new organizations, and also to share any questions that you may have in the financial, legal, operational aspects or anything regarding the grant cycle. You can pop the questions there, or you can reach us directly through our emails. Okay, so I think that we can go on. Okay, thank you very much, Lynn.
Thanks.
Here. Okay, let's go now to EIT Food Plaza.
Yeah. So one of the popular topics, I think, Plaza. Some of you who are already have been in the platform, or already been a partner or participant for quite some time, you got to know Plaza because you have been involved in different parts of grant cycle. But just to explain briefly, Plaza is our private platform. So it is only open for partners and or participants who need to access this platform in order to complete several necessary reports or applications, anything that is linked to the grant cycle management. So when you are added as a participant to the tool or to the system, you were contacted by us. If there is anyone who doesn't have any Plaza access, please feel free to reach us. We will understand the status and we will give you the access immediately. With the Plaza, you will be able to see a call for proposals, some dedicated sections for documents that are needed, like statutes and bylaws, in case you would like to see some information about partners. In general, you will find several guidelines that throughout the year we will publish there regarding the grant cycle process, like when we are going to launch business plan amendment, there will be a guideline there, or when it's time for reporting, you will hear more news and see more documents related to these periods under the Plaza platform. So whatever is needed regarding your grant cycle processes or projects, you will be using Plaza. Plaza is a little bit maze when you start working on it, we must admit, but after one or two times, you will get used to it because there is a logic for sure. But for any questions in the coming days, we are here to help you. Before every launch, so what I mean, we will go into details in the coming slides, but in the grant cycle, there are several periods like business planning, amendment, monitoring, reporting. We will have our webinars and our guidelines prepared for each period. And for each of them, there will be some more details about how to use Plaza, because under each grant cycle section or period, let's call it, there will be additional questions to be answered, additional reports to be completed. So they all need separate dedicated sessions. So that's why we would prefer not to go into detail at this stage, but we will be here all the time to help you and guide you through the Plaza platform. If we move to the next slide. Okay. So just roles within the organization. Probably many of you are aware of them, but just to walk you through, we have the master contact. Master contact is the principal point of contact for us, for the Kikeli, EIT Food, we mean. So from master contact, what we expect is to distribute the information within the organization. Usually as business operations, we do our best to reach out to the correct people who will be responsible for some dedicated reports or submissions. However, many information is received by the master contact because, as it can be understood from the name, master contact is the first principal point of contact for us and responsible for the relationship between EIT Food and master contact's organization. Then we have the finance officer. So each organization, so each participant will have a finance officer. This is really important. If this data is missing in our systems, we need to complete this data with your help. So master contact need to enter to Plaza and finalize the missing information, which is finance officer, because these people are responsible for preparation and submission of cost reports when the time comes for reporting. It may sound a little bit difficult or complicated at this stage, but you will get to know each step when we get closer to these grant cycle periods throughout the year. For instance, when it's the time for reporting, we will send a separate email to finance officers and explain them the process, what needs to be done, when it needs to be done. So everything dedicated to specific people in your organizations. So that's why we strongly recommend you to have HR sources, if possible, in your organization to assign specific roles for these titles that we define here. And activity leaders, we will talk a little bit more about activity leaders in the future. But, you know, activity leaders are responsible for submission of the proposal. And then these people are responsible from the project in general. So let's say you have a project, you have a consortium. There are 3 participants in the consortium. One of them will select an activity leader who will be responsible for the whole project. So this activity leader will be the spokesperson regarding anything about the project itself. So whenever business operations or the program manager who is responsible from your project have a question, they will reach out to activity leader, because we expect activity leader to have a broad information and idea about how the project is going, what are the important points that needs to be discussed. So whatever is related to the project, that is going to be asked to activity leader. And then there are the task leaders. These people, colleagues of yours, are responsible for partners' contribution to a CAVA led by an activity leader and sometimes outside of the organization. When you go to Plaza, you will see a PIF section. In PIF section, this is the Partnership Participant Information file, folder, we can say. You can find the participant ID, name, acronym, organization type, general organization information, banking details, and contact details. So as you can see on the right corner, there is a tab called Partners. So in your Plaza accounts, when you log in, you will see this Partners. So you can enter through there. You will go to PIF and you can find all of these informations. If you are a master contact of the organization, you will be able to change like contact details, not all of them, of course, because these are all mandatory fields that we ask from you before you are onboarded. But some of the fields are open for amendment, like contacts. In case your signing officer has been changed, you need to change it. So it's really important for master contact to know that the data that is in PIF, in Plaza, in PIF, is an updated one, because we always use this data to communicate important information, to communicate processes, anything that is really important for the whole project and its grant cycle. There is one more important note I would like to share is about the banking details. This is something really important for both sides in case of fraud or any problems that may arise due to these cases. So banking details are not open for amendment by you. So you need to contact us and we will coordinate the rest of the work. We will ask for an additional document, which is called FIF. It's the financial information file. So we will ask you to provide this document to us, and then we will share this document with the finance team. So they will make the necessary changes in PIF. So you can be sure that no one touches these banking details, neither you nor us. It's only the finance team who will work on these banking details per your request. So if you would like to add a banking detail or would like to change anything about the IBAN, bank, branch, please contact us and we will organize it. Anything that is not clear or in the future you have questions, always please contact us. We will be happy to clarify. But as I said, Plaza may look a little bit complicated, but in every grant cycle period, we will have our guidelines, webinars in order to clarify all of your questions before you start the work.
I think that in our experience, what we have seen with partners and participants is that sometimes Plaza has these, let's say, this wording, this vocabulary, and you also know that some of the consequences of your actions in Plaza have legal or financial effects. So that might make a participant or a partner a little bit hesitant to make changes. But we are going to walk you through that. It's very simple. And if there's something wrong, we might be able to amend that together. So please explore Plaza. And if you have questions, we can just organize a one-to-one or a specific webinar on that. We think that in the near future, we're going to merge to a new platform. So that's why we don't want to pay a lot of attention on Plaza, but you still have to use it. So try to be confident when you use it, and you're going to see that it's a very simple platform. I think we have two questions, Berfu.
Where to enter the activity leader information in Plaza? It shows master contact, signing officer, education and community. Correct, that's correct. So activity leader is the person who is responsible from the projects. So there is an activity editor button on your main screen. So if you are the activity leader or if you are the master contact, I think you can still click on the activity editor and try to add the activity leader via activity editor, because you will see your kavas there. You can select and add, but I'm not sure if you can try, or please send me an email. I can try after the call. And then if it doesn't work, I will have a further check with the IT team. Because normally when we create the kavas, we know activity leaders in advance and we define them in the system. So it's usually defined from my previous experiences. But if you would like to amend it or change, please contact us. We will coordinate it.
Okay, I think we have another question. Who is reporting Plaza? Is the master contact
Perfect.
or the activity leader?
We will come to reporting in few minutes, but just to answer the question, reporting has two segments, let's call it. Master contact has nothing to do with Plaza, actually, like apart from updating the information. Anything that is needed in Plaza are usually either from activity leader of the project or the finance people of the participants. So I would say activity leaders usually, mostly. Yeah.
Okay, shall we
Yeah.
move to the next one? Okay, so we're going to start with the legal framework. Okay.
Maybe you joined to another webinar that was held by Charlotte. Yeah, I think it's been more than 2 or 3 months. She has given really detailed information about the whole legal framework. So here we would like to recap it. But if you have more detailed questions about the legal framework, we will be happy to be your spoke as always, and maybe liaise with our legal team and get the answers back to you. But let me try to explain you one more time. So contractual arrangements with EIT / EIT Food for Participants. There is this famous partnership agreement. This is for EIT Food partners, and rules are cascaded through the partner contracts. So here we call it partner contracts. The partners have already received these contracts. So this is only valid for partners. There is grant agreement, which is signed between EIT and EIT Food. Now, after the new cascading model, we have one grant agreement for the core business plan, and then a separate grant agreement for each cross-kick activity. But this is actually just to give you some information. You don't need to do anything about this. You don't even maybe need to know all of these details, but here just explaining you all agreements that we as business operations team are working in order to finalize the whole EIT procedure. So EIT Food and its CLCs are the sole beneficiaries. So previously, in the grant cycle, we were submitting business plan with every detail about every CAVA, every participant. So EIT was able to see each and every partner there with their specific EIT funding limits, EIT funding amounts and everything. But with the new cascading model, now it is just EIT Food submitting the business plan. It is a generic one, so it's not CAVA by CAVA details. So the only sole beneficiaries are us as EIT Food and our CLCs. So it's just an agreement between EIT and EIT Food. But of course, we need to cascade the responsibilities and rights and obligations through some documents. So for participants, you have been already contacted. If not, please again reach us. There might be a technical problem. We may need to check it ASAP. Participants need to sign framework agreements for financial support to third parties as an overreaching contract for all CAVAs under all GA. And there is one more contract, which is CAVA contract. This is the contract that has to be signed for each CAVA, so each project that you are engaged in. So I will give more example in the next slide. Just one more note, we can skip, no problem. There is also a consortium agreement. This is an agreement that we really, as EIT Food, do not need to be involved or even receive it, but we highly suggest that you as participants sign a consortium agreement with your consortium members in case there are some clarification needs or some problem arise in the future. So we strongly advise you to have your consortium agreements, but we as EIT Food, we are not involved and we are not expecting to receive any agreements. Okay. So to give a little bit more clarification, hopefully, about the two agreements that participants have to sign, one of them is, again, as I said, framework agreement. This is for all the subgrants awarded by EIT Food through CAVAs for the period 23-25. And then each participant will sign a bilateral CAVA contract with EIT Food for each CAVA it participates. So here we have an example. So let's say we have University of Belgium. University of Belgium, as a participant, needs to sign one framework agreement with EIT Food. And then, as you see the stars there are 5 stars. I mean, the one in the pink box. This means they participated in 5 different CAVAs: innovation number 1, public engagement number 1, risk number 1, HEI, and cross-kick education. So for each of them, University of Belgium has to sign CAVA contracts. So this is important, and each CAVA contract has to be signed by all participants of the CAVA. So as CAVAs are amended throughout the period, any approved amendment to the CAVA will be annexed to the CAVA contract for all participants. Most of you, I believe, have already received the CAVA contracts. In your CAVA contracts, you will see the annex, which is the data that is extracted from Plaza itself. So while you were adding your figures in Plaza, you added them to the activity editor. And while we were creating your CAVA contracts, we received that information from Plaza and added as an annex to your CAVA contracts. Another important point, each of these participations in a CAVA are considered as separate sub-grants for each participant and will be governed by a bilateral CAVA contract with EIT Food, as we said. I hope this is clear as well. Yeah, please.
We also have a document that you have to sign, that is the declaration of size. So if you are a valued EIT Food partner, you have already signed a declaration of size. And if you are a participant, you may or you may not have signed a declaration of size yet. We have 4 different categories: large, mid-cap, medium, and SME. And each of these size categories are linked to some variables. For example, the turnover, the number of employees, and the organizational footprint, both in the number of branches and the geographical footprint that that organization has. So if you have any questions regarding your size, you can come back to us, and we will need this document in order to follow some other processes, for example, pre-finance, as we're going to explain later on. Shall we continue?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, please.
I think we have a couple of questions.
Yes, please.
Let's see.
Just consulted the Plaza platform and have no bank details, neither ours nor others participants, though are provided to you. Is this okay? Tola, if you have one question, have you received a 5th document from us? Because what we do usually when we add our participants, we again contact them and share a 5th document, financial information file, where you will be able to fill all of this information. If you have shared these, maybe it is pending in the file, and then as a bulk, our team will transfer this information. If you have not filled in 5th document, please reach out to us. We will send you the necessary documents to be completed, and then your bank account details will be registered there.
We have sent this twice, a couple of times already.
The 5th document, you mean, Tola?
I don't know whether it's named as 5th document or otherwise, but we have received a form, and we have filled in the form, and we have sent it over to you. We have done that with the framework agreement twice, and we are somehow confused about the process. Now we're trying to do again through the PDF that you have asked us to do so, and we don't get any verification mail. And again, we are having some troubles with the framework agreement. So it seems that there is a miscommunication and some logistics problems in regard to the framework agreement and the bank details.
Okay, so first of all, I will check, but for framework agreement, no one has asked you to provide bank account details.
No, these are irrespective. There are two problems that have popped up throughout the process, and they still seem to not to be in the pipeline yet. This is what we have spotted out since June, May or June 2023.
Okay, so we are taking note of well, your name and last name. So we're going to browse in our email account if there is an email regarding this, or just contact you later on and try to provide the documents that you're requiring and check if we have received your financial information file or not. So we will take it from there. These are new processes that we are implemented, so we expect to have some, let's say, noise in the middle. We are doing our best to reduce it, but thank you for sharing this. We will check that, and if we have more participants in a similar position, just reach out to us and we will do our best to solve it.
Thank you so much.
Okay. No problem. So I think we have
other questions.
Another question. Yeah. Let me see how I can set. Okay. I don't know. Sometimes here. So where can we see if the framework agreement is signed? You cannot see it on Plaza, but if you reach out to us, we can provide a copy. You should have received a copy if the document has been signed, but sometimes the master contract doesn't receive that because it's the legal representative, the one that signs, that is going to receive a copy. But we can provide that later. Hello, I have a question about declaration of size. If in our case we are a university, where do we belong? Thank you. Okay, this is a question that you should consider, that the research staff is not going to be counted as the number of employees. So with that information, you should count the number of employees that you have. But if you want, we can take it in a one-to-one or in an email, so we can check your case specifically. Okay, so I think that we could continue it.
Yep.
Okay.
I just took notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we go now to the grant cycle. That's an amazing topic, Berfu.
Yes. And we will, again, just to start with, we will be here for you whenever you have more questions about the cycle. It may be a bit confusing from time to time until you get used to the whole cycle. So to start with, we try to put it in a very simple way. So you as participants, you have been added to the system via either selection of new kavas via calls, or maybe there was a kava leaving from last year's and you are a new consortium member. So we got to know this information and we reached out to you. So you were added to the participant to an existing kava. So in any case, so in either case, you are as a participant new to the system and you are selected and you are in the system. So then there will be a time coming for a business plan. This business plan is actually, previously it was more detailed, which was submitted to EIT, but now probably we will require less information, a little bit less information, and then we will gather all information all together and work on it in order to submit our main business plan to the commission. So there are specific requirements for the business plan, and you will again, I mean the activity leader this time, will work on Plaza under activity editor tab, where activity leaders will be able to see their kavas and anything about their project detail needs to be added there. For instance, the descriptions, the definitions, the KPIs, deliverable outputs, financial sustainability, if it's applicable for your kava, of course, budgets with every breakdown and every detail. These are all needs to be amended or added to the activity editor, which will build our business plan as a whole. Then business plan will be followed by monitoring. So business plan usually occurs in the beginning of the year, we shall say. So we will have a general understanding of the Kava's needs in terms of budgets, and then the promises of KPIs and outlooks. And then in the middle of the year, around late June, July, there will be monitoring. We will go into details again in the coming slides. Monitoring is another grant cycle process that is really important for us and yourselves as well, in order to see if things are going good or not. And then monitoring will be followed by business plan amendments. This will be the time that if there are any changes or expected changes in your projects, that will be the time to reflect them in the system. So we will be able to see these changes. I will explain more details in the coming section. And then we will proceed to another time where we start working on reporting. So previously, we have been working on 2 different reports. We expect to work on the same reports this year, but things are really changing quite fast and sometimes slow, I would say, because we are expecting to hear or to read some guidelines that are supposed to be sent by EIT. So it may take some time to clarify the whole reporting, but usually it is straightforward. We contact anyone who is going to be responsible. So you will have a clear view when the time comes for reporting. So this is the whole grant cycle where you will for sure have questions and we'll have the chance to reach us to clarify those.
Yes, we have to say that we will provide webinars and support in each of these phases. We are just giving you an overview, so you have like a mental map of which are going to be the activities that you will have to respond to. And also you need to think that, well, Berfu was mentioning some dates or months where this activity when these activities could happen. This is not, let's say, written on stone, but more or less you need to know that you would need some resources, human resources available for the monitoring in June, July, and so on. It's an incredible opportunity to be part of EIT Food, but it also has some responsibilities and obligations that you need to respond to, and these are these processes. So you need to be prepared and you need to be flexible, because sometimes we receive some requirements and they are sent in a very short period of time, and we need to respond to that. So you can also receive your finance, your payments, and it's a little bit let's say tight for everyone. But if we all cooperate and we all have our expectations aligned, I think that we can work together in a smoother way.
Correct.
Okay.
So a little bit more detail about each grant cycle period. As we said, once you are selected or you are involved in an existing Kava, now it will be the time to work on the business plan. Business plan sets out EIT Food's plan of action and impact in the reference period. So if the business plan is open, so activity editor is open for the activity leaders to complete the data. As I mentioned, there will be some sections about the descriptions of the project, KPIs, deliverables, budgets, financial sustainability, and some other details that are related to your project. Those needs to be completed in the Plaza under activity editor tab. Business plan can be amended. We will explain it later. And all projects that were selected after the business plan period will be added to business plan during amendments. So what we mean, now the calls can occur at any time in the year, throughout the year. There might be more than 3-4 calls. So if a Kava has not been included in the business plan because it was not selected yet, there will be an opportunity to add these projects in the amendment phase. So it is something that we do, and you don't need to worry if there is a call and if there is a deadline. It means that we figure out the whole timeline about adding the Kavas to the system. Business plan is it is happening once in a year, and usually is expected to be launched in late September. And the amended BP serves as the basis for reporting and performance review by EIT. We will explain it a bit later in detail. The next one is about the roles at the implementation of the project. So here, as we described, activity leader is a responsible person for the project in general. So any question regarding the project will be received by activity leader. It might be business operations trying to reach them, sometimes program managers, but now we are trying to, ease your work, and me and Paolo, trying to be your only spoke. So hopefully in the coming months, let's call it, you will have us reaching you, trying to understand the problems. But any question that is really related to your project itself needs to be discussed with the program manager, because they are your first point of contact for anything about the project implementation. So really any detail about the projects, any KPI problem or any KPI developments, really solve project related questions, you need to, or the program manager needs to contact you as the activity leader. The participant managers are us, you and Paola and myself. So we will be your single point of contact for the other topics in general. So funding, grant cycle, business operations in general, we will be here to solve them. If we are not the people who can answer immediately, we will make sure that we get the answers and share with you as soon as practically possible.
Great. And you have to think about us as part of your team. So we are here to help and contribute to the success of your project. So anything that you would need from our side, just reach to us, and we will be ready to help.
Now, if you remember the round chart, the cycle, after the business plan, there comes the monitoring, and it has 2 steps. One of them is continuous monitoring. So it will be throughout the year or throughout the life of the project. There will be a continuous monitoring, which is coordinated by your program manager. So each project has a program manager who is responsible from the project. It would be great if you can invite them to your kickoff meetings, for instance, as a consortium, so they get to know you better. So this continuous monitoring will be for the sake of the whole project, let's call it. So you can always raise any flags that are needed. So program manager would be there to help you or share some thoughts and experience with you in order to solve some problems or improve the details. And then the monitoring report, which is coordinated by the grants management, will come, which was the one that I mentioned. It's usually at the middle of the year, because we would like to see how the project has been done since the beginning of the year until the first half, let's call it. So that is usually, it's usually a bad timing, we know, but there is nothing we can do about it, because we need the half results. So what we try to do, we try to remind you or try to reach you and inform you about the timelines in advance. So you will have the related people with the relevant knowledge there to fill in the monitoring reports. They are like others. They will be launched in Plaza itself. So again, don't need to worry about them right now. Whenever the time comes, we will be there for you to explain how it works, how Plaza works, and what are the deadlines. But keep in mind, until today and for a while, we will keep on using Plaza. Monitoring, as it there says, it's an opportunity to discuss any adjustments that may be required. So it is not a promise, or it's not a court, to discuss your project. Monitoring period or report is just there to give you the opportunity to improve some stuff, to inform us in advance that things may change in the coming days when the business plan amendment is opened. So it might be some discussions about the budget, it might be some work program changes, changes in KPIs are not usually allowed, but there will be an open door to discuss them. So anything that may change in the business plan amendment can be subject to the monitoring. So it's a good opportunity for both of us to understand what will be expected in the coming days in the business plan amendments.
Shall we check any questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Question.
So
This monitoring will replace the old amendment process that usually EIT Food opens in mid-year. Angela, no, actually, because monitoring is a separate grant cycle period, which is just before the business plan amendment. As I was just explaining, anything that you add in your monitoring report will be an indicator for us that you will make some changes in your business plan amendment periods. So we will understand if there is going to be a budget increase or a decrease or a change in KPI or a work plan. There is a big red flag in the project, consortium change. So anything that is related to a change in the project can be reflected there. And we will know these in advance of the business plan amendment. So business amendment stays there.
okay, I think we have two more questions. One is one that just passed a few minutes ago. Could you confirm if I understood well, partners do not sign the partnership agreement, but only EIT?
Correct.
Yes, that's
partnership agreement is a big agreement signed between EIT and EIT Food. Correct.
Okay, and the other one is regarding some documents. We will get back to you, Anna. So don't worry, we take note. I'm going to put a sign here just to remember. Okay, good.
Perfect. Okay, moving to the other periods that belongs to grant cycle, it's business plan amendment. So that is the opportunity to formalize any required changes in the project work plan, deliverables, and budgets. As we said, KPIs are really sensitive for you and us. So usually it is not allowed to change the KPIs that were already added to business plan amendment. But of course, there is always a room to discuss. For example, there might be some, by mistake, some additional KPIs they were added. Like I sometimes see two same KPIs there. If it's a mistake, like this can be discussed and this can be led to be changed. But usually business plan amendment is for changes in work plan, deliverables, budgets. Again, like others, they are implemented on Plaza through the activity editor. You will see, if you are not very much familiar, you will get to, but there is this activity editor button in Plaza where you will only see the kavas, the projects that you are involved in, and you can, navigate yourself around the tool. When there is no launch, so what I mean, when there is no active working period, you will not be able to change anything. So don't worry. So you will try maybe, but you will see that you will not be able to amend anything because the tool will be closed by our colleagues in order to save and protect the data that has been entered so far. So implemented by the activity leader. So as I said, activity leader is the responsible person from the project and has the editing rights for the project on Plaza. And for reporting, there are two steps we will see in detail now. One of them is performance reporting, and the other one is the cost reporting. Performance reporting, its baseline is the work plan, KPI, output, and deliverable targets per amended business plan. So any deviation from the targets in the amended BP will be considered as underperformance. So all deviations need to be explained clearly. Sometimes there are some really valid reasons and they will all be considered from that angle. Performance reporting is the responsibility of the activity leader. So coming back to a question like reporting, is it master contact's responsibility or activity leaders? Here, like you see, activity leaders' responsibility is to complete the performance reporting of their projects. So activity performance report explain what has been accomplished in the year. And as we said, if there are deviations, they need to be justified. KPI achievements, these are important because there will be some supporting documents related to these KPIs or some further explanations might be needed. All can be inserted in the Plaza. deliverables, same as KPIs. There might be supporting evidence, good to have them in the tool. And then budgets section, which is maybe the most important, or KPI might be the most, I am not sure personally, but explanation of the budget deviations are really important at the project level. So should include justifications of any unplanned costs or any underspending. Those are also important. So these will be reflected in the performance reporting. Okay. Second leg is the cost reporting. This is the report which needs to be reported by each partner separately from their involvement in the business plan. So what we mean, each partner needs to complete this cost reporting, and the responsible person within the company is the finance person. So previous reporting, performance reporting is activity leader's responsibility, and cost reporting is the finance contact's responsibility. Only eligible costs can be reported, and we are, like EIT, operating in the Horizon Europe eligibility framework. Eligibility rules apply to all costs, irrespectively of the source of the funding. And we really encourage all partners to report all of their costs that they have incurred, even if this is excess of their budget figures. Budget flexibility at partner level, there are no restrictions. But again, if there are any deviations for some reasons, these needs to be explained clearly. And at the project level, moving budgets among the partners, not possible. But these are all generic information, by the way. Like when we launch reporting, we will have more clear and valid, let's say. These are valid for sure, but we will have more accurate for that moment information, and we will share them with you whenever they are available.
Yes, this is just an introduction, so you know you can have the whole picture of the framework in your mindset. But yes, so for example, regarding budget flexibility, we need to highlight that you need to deviate from your budget as less as possible. If you have to discuss that with your program manager first, and that needs to be justified, and it can be approved or it cannot be approved. It depends on the situation, so you don't have to take it for granted, but try to stick to your budget and of course your KPIs as much as you can. Okay, so perhaps we can go on.
Payments or finance related topics, I am pretty sure this is maybe one of the most important things for you as participants. The financing schedule for payments of financial support is really dependent on several points, like the schedule for finalization of the business plan, the cash flow of EIT Food itself, the receipt of the grant payments from the EIT, and all of these are really crucial points that really cause some delays or sometimes some early payments if possible. So just always keep this in mind, that it's not only in our hands to pay at a certain time, and it depends on other variables. One very important thing to emphasize is pre-financing. Maybe as a participant, when you join a call and when you are selected, maybe you think that pre-financing will come at that moment or in a month time. Unfortunately, this is not the case. It will take some time based on all of these points. On top of these, there are some prerequisites like the signature of the agreements, framework, CAVA agreement, and declaration of size. These are all needed. They need to be in place in order for finance to proceed once all of the three above are completed. And again, just to remind, please check your PIF data. Whatever have been submitted to us while you were onboarded are usually in PIF. There might be some delays. We saw today one more two example, but the data that you shared are in PIF. So unless you told us that there are some changes, or unless you make them amended in the tool itself, by yourself, then we will accept they are all accurate and updated. So please update it. If you cannot update it, reach us. Make sure that you have the updated data. Because, for instance, especially bank details are important, because everything can be ready And when the finance try to pay you the pre-financing, they may see that the IBAN is wrong or IBAN is not there. So this is very much important.
And the contact points are we cannot highlight enough that it's very important to have that information updated, because some days we need to reach out to you because there is a document that is missing and we cannot proceed with a payment, or there is any other issues and we need to respond to some well, in the past it was EIT. We will see how it evolves in the future, but if we have to respond in a very short notice and we don't have your information updated, is a big hassle for us, and we want your success and we want that everything goes well with your project and with your organization. But if we cannot reach you out, is very difficult. So in the past we have been exposed to some obstacles trying to reach out to the partners, for example. So keep this information updated. And also there are some prerequisites.
Yeah, for the pre-financing, right?
Yes.
Yes, signature of the framework agreements, CAVA agreements, and the declaration of size, because all of these are needed for finance to proceed with your pre-financing or any payments.
And the fifth, the financial...
The bank details, exactly.
Okay. So we have a couple of questions, I think. Okay. The first one, when the planned financial support for 2023 will be delivered to partners, participants before or after cost report?
Todor, I think you mean the pre-financing, I guess. There has been recently a mail about the pre-financing. So there was a memo there. Maybe you haven't received the email, we can check, but there it was telling it will be happening soon, and there were some more details about the segments, the percentage, and the timeline. So I will try to share that mail with you after the call. Just let me take a note. That was prepared and signed by the finance and Charlotte.
And then we have another question. Do the CAVA agreement and CAVA contract are the same documents?
Correct.
Yes.
Exactly. CAVA agreement is the CAVA contract. Correct.
Perfect. So, okay, we're going to continue. Can we check the time?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are on time.
Yeah.
So we're going to finalize with some cost eligibility points, and this information is, let's say, it's something that you would have to check later on with the AMGA. However, when we get to that part of the process to check the cost eligibility, or when we have more information, we will provide a webinar or more resources. But we just want to introduce you to this topic, so you have a general overview, and you can start working on this space a little bit more confidently.
Yeah. So as Paola mentioned, these are all generic like information. And we always ask participants themselves to check the annotated model grant agreements, where you will see examples, explanations, updated sections. So we really require your own expertise and your own control over the costs. But to just give you a brief information, actually they need to be incurred by the beneficiary itself, so not a sister company, anyone, yourself. So your invoices incurred within the eligibility period of the action, indicated in the estimated budgets, incurred in connection with the action, recorded in your accounts. This is also important. Comply with the applicable national law regarding taxes, labor and social security, and cost reasonable, justified, and must comply with the principle of sound financial management. So you can find some examples about all of these in AMGA when you have the time to check. These will be required when you are working on your reporting. But of course, as reporting is just a period that comes at the end, you need to be prepared starting from the beginning. So just keep an eye on AMGA for eligible costs. ineligible costs, what might be counted as ineligible, that the costs that are related to return on capital or dividends paid by the beneficiary, debt or debt services charges, provisions for the future loss and debts, interests of currency losses, excessive or reckless expenditure, deductible VAT, costs that are incurred for activities implemented during grant agreement suspension, and costs declared under other EU grants will be maybe most probably will be ineligible. So again, AMGA will be your source to be sure of these costs.
Okay, so this is our contact point is participants at EIT Food, is plural, so it's very easy to remember. We're going to check now if we have more questions. Okay, when the plan financial support, okay, we did that one. The cover, we were not asked to declare our size, how to do that, and where. We will contact you in the next days. Okay, then we have another question regarding budget flexibility at partner level. The slide said no restriction and that we can spend more on staff and less trouble, but later in praying that is not flexible and may or may not be approved. Maybe I misunderstood you.
As far as I remember from my old experiences, it was okay to make some changes within the partners, but of course every change needs a description. When we launch or when we are getting closer to launch the business plan amendment, which will be soon in mid-September or maybe close to late September, you will hear more details about what can be done and what are not allowed to be done. So we need to check this with our colleagues from business operations, grants management, and we will make sure that this is clarified without any question marks.
Yes, and please try not to deviate any budget if it is possible. Then we have another question. I am an activity leader, and I would like to check in Plaza if the rest of the partners have filled banking and declaration of size on one side and signed the CAVA on the other side. You cannot do that. So if you want, you can reach out to us. We can take note of your inquiry and we can check that for you. That information is not available on Plaza.
I mean, you are not allowed to see that. For each participant, we will be able to see if they have their banking details, or we can check our folders to see if they signed the declaration of size. But you as activity leader will not be able to see this information due to GDPR reasons. But yeah, reach us, please.
And then I would like to ask, how will look like the reporting of our KPI to Plaza? I expected to send all the data to our project officer, program manager, or is it changed?
If I understand the question correct, you are asking how to report the KPIs, right? So KPIs, when the tool is open for reporting, and which is not the case right now, so it is closed, it's not the time yet, you will be informed about the whole process, about how to report your KPIs, your deliverables. So you are not expected to send any document to your program manager. However, due to this continuous monitoring, program managers may ask for some information from you just to be sure that everything is on track, and everything will be on track when the time comes for the reporting. But normally, all reporting is completed via Plaza, and you don't need to send any additional document or information to your program manager.
Okay, so we have another question. I'm going to put the link to the AMGA here.
It's annotated model grant agreement. So there is this grant agreement, and AMGA is a version of it that explains, gives examples, clarifications for all participants. Okay. And here is the link.
We have another question. What is meant with costs incurred during grant agreement suspension? Okay.
Yes, please.
So suppose that your grant agreement, the grant agreement has been suspended, so those costs are not going to be covered. Does it mean we should only officially start the project once grant agreement is signed?
Actually, this grant agreement here is the one that is not signed with you. So we always try to launch the agreement signing process as soon as possible, so you will feel more comfortable to start your projects. But in general, we say if you are in the business plan and we are working on the agreement process, then you can already, you know, start the process. But you can always check with your program manager or us if you have a specific condition, like you had to start it immediately and you cannot wait for the framework agreement. You know, if there are any specific case, just reach us. We will make sure we double check it. But this grant agreement is usually the one that is already signed when everything starts from scratch for us. So it is the one with EIT.
And we have a final question on KPIs. So KPIs are the key performance indicators. We will explain that a little bit more later in another webinar. We would like to thank you for coming today. We will provide this recording on YouTube, yep, and also on our EIT Food Hive group. Thank you very much for coming. Please introduce yourself on the EIT Food Hive group, and do reach out to any other organizations if you have a consortia in mind that you would like to build. Barefoot.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to read the chat. Thank you for your time. If you have any further questions, please reach us. We had our notes for the specific ones, but if you come up with more, we are here to help. It's great to meet you. Hopefully we will meet in person in our partner events, participant events. So hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn, also, and have a great day.